Welcome to Often Pacing on Tab Radio Racing and Sport. Tim Walker will be joined by Matt Young and Oliver County as they delve into the form for today's Pinjarra harness meeting, as well as an early look at tomorrow's meeting at Gloucester Park. We are Often Pacing.
Great to be back with you for another edition of Often Pacing following last week's long weekend. And it is a very busy show on the way today. As always, we've got Matt Nally standing by. And Tom Nally's going to be a special guest today. He's got a couple of key opportunities over the next few days with the Bond Stable. And we'll also just get a little bit of an idea on how he's enjoying life here in the West, having made the move over at the start of the year. So that is all to come. But first and foremost, let's get to our experts. We've got Ollie County with us on the program. Hello, Ollie.
Morning, Tim. Great to be with you again after a week off. It's been some really good racing, so look forward to getting into it.
Yeah, there's plenty to work through, and Matt Young's here as well. Hello, Matt.
Good morning again, Tim, Ollie, everyone tuned in.
Let's not waste any time. You speak about the great racing, Ollie. You are over on the East Coast as we speak, about to get a flight back here to Perth, and you would have seen a pretty good spectacle, I would have thought, on Saturday night in the Miracle Mile, and Don Hugo adding another monster win to his CV.
Oh, it was just a fantastic night of racing. I just had to be here. I was so lucky to see a race of that calibre. Don Hugo, Leap to Fame, Swayze, who was incredibly unlucky there. They're just really high-quality horses. And Don Hugo, he was just expertly driven by Luke McCarthy, who really pinched it through the middle and was just too fast for them. 26 on the way home, gave Leap to Fame pretty much no chance to make up the ground he needed to make up in the end. And it was another great win for Don Hugo, who is obviously targeting the Nullarbor in the next few months, which is really, really exciting for WA racing. And on the card, there was a really, really impressive win from Always Hot as well, who's certainly a horse to follow in the Group 1 New South Wales Derby there. So he looks to have a very bright future, that horse.
Well, what was your take on it, Matt?
Yeah, pretty much Ollie summed it up. I think the barrier draw made things really fascinating in terms of what would happen to Swayze early and sort of what everyone expected to happen did, and I like the way that he hit the line, so I'm really looking forward to seeing him come across to Perth. And Don Hugo was absolutely brilliant in his performance. I think once again, Leap to Fame lost no admirers, and yeah, it really shows that it's going to be potentially the best Nullarbor we've seen.
Just have to clear the throat there, Matt. It certainly is going to be right up there as the best Nullarbor we've seen so far of the three editions. The third edition this year, of course, we've got the headline act in Swayze. All right, let's get stuck into it because, as I mentioned, Ollie, you've got a flight to catch, so we'll get into some horses to follow, and we'll start with yours from Friday night, if we can. You go to the middle part of the program, the feature race.
Yeah, I was really taken by this horse's run. Nullarbor Navajo only had a few runs back from a spell now, and she got a long way back in the run there, probably a little bit further back than she'd have liked to in that race, and it looked really tricky for her to get into it, but she ran on really strongly behind a very impressive winner in Penny Black, and she was only beaten just over a length, Nullarbor Navajo, despite being nearly last in the run. So I thought she was super there. If she's able to draw a gate in one of these bigger races, I can certainly see her finishing in the money, and she could certainly be a knockout hope with the right run too.
All right.
Next horse I had to... Yep.
Keep going.
Next horse I had to follow was in race 7, Magnus Victor. I thought he was another one that hit the line really strongly. He was sort of forced pretty wide on the track after getting a run on the pegs there, and he couldn't quite really an Instigator or Addersport Major, but those two runners, they had the pegs and really cosy runs in the race. So I thought coming out wide late when they were dashing home, I thought Magnus Victor was a really good effort there in third, and he certainly seems to be racing very well. He's also got terrific gate speed, so I can definitely see him winning a race very soon. And the third horse I had to follow was One of the Last, which it was a lower grade race, but I thought Starlight Song was actually really good here, and it seems to love that Peg's run. Leaders back, just goes so much better off that trip. And I think if she's able to draw a gate soon and get a similar run, I can see her being really hard to beat in a race.
Okay, so that is Nullarbor Navajo Magnus Victor Starlight Song for Ollie. Matt, you're also singing from the same hymn sheet there in regards to Starlight Song.
Yeah, absolutely right. And adding another Navajo to the list, Coolbahty Navajo. I thought if the line bolting, she's one that I've always had a lot of time for, and I thought her performance on Friday was that of a horse that's going to win one of those lower grade mares races very soon in the city. So, yeah, I'm happy to have her in the black book. I thought Mighty Conqueror was really good. Stewie McDonald made the move at the right time, going around to the breeze, and he just stuck on really well. So you'd think he'd derive plenty of benefit from that run. He's had sort of a checkered last few years racing and with obvious issues, but I really liked what I saw from him on his return run. And Starlight Song, yeah, same. I agree 100% with Ollie. Lower grade race, but at the same time, he performed so well, and he's got that blistering gate speed that can get him into a good position. And I think he's ready to win a race very soon. He's only won the one race, and so he's able to drop down to race nearly anywhere in the state. So I think he'll be winning one very soon. Coolbahty Navajo, Mighty Conqueror and Starlight Song. All
right, as horses to follow out of Friday night at Gloucester Park. So we turn our attention to Pinjarra today, and we've got fixed odds that are up. Matt, we'll let you start first for your first best, which comes up in the third.
Yeah, call to arms each way, $4.20, $1.95. I think's a good play in this race. You could go 2 by 3. I think there's options from the draw. And as I mentioned on the preview on the Sports Daily, he'd be my main play in the race, and then I'd be looking at maybe having a saver on Colin if Chris Vogt was able to launch him with plenty of speed. If he was able to cross down to the pegs, he's worth having just a straight-out saver on, because he is the one that I'm probably most afraid of in terms of changing the map of the race. I thought Call to Arms has got good each-way potential from the draw. We've seen him race in a lot stronger fields, and his first run back, I think, was in the Northern Cup. So this is the sort of grade that he's dropped right back down to. He normally takes a few runs to get back into peak fitness, so I think he gets a really good opportunity here. So race 3, number 1, firstly. Then we go to race 5, number 7, Feeling Empathy. There already been a bit of money around for this horse now. Feeling Empathy, I just thought was a decent chance to nearly cross these, and over the Lightning Lap would go very close. If she was able to cross, I think we could see her return to her form that was winning 5 starts ago at Narrogin. So, Feeling Empathy, it's a risky bet, but at the same time, you're getting a good price to have a look. And if she was able to cross down to the pegs and lead, I think she can win. She's a good each-way price, and she loves the short course racing. So she was my next best, and third best to follow is race 7, number 9 for the place. A little bit of fun. I think Charivari will probably win. Oceanfront looks likely to run into the placings. But then looking at the rest of the field, I just thought a little bit of fun had nearly a mortgage on third best in the market, but also third best in the race. And he can do some work in his races, which is required. But at the same time, I just thought he'd be able to run into the money here. So I was pretty keen for him to be able to finish into the top 3 in race 7. So race 3, number 1, each way, Call to Arms with maybe a saver straight out on Colin. Race 5, number 7, each way, Feeling Empathy. And race 7, number 9, The Place. A little bit of fun.
All right, so that is for Matt. Now, Ollie, let's get your first play of the day. And you're also going to the third.
Yeah, I totally agree with Matt in this race. I thought Call to Arms was really good 2 runs ago. Burned off the gate. The leader got really tired there, and it was dragged back through the race, and still thought the horse finished off quite well there. And over the Lightning Lap, certainly won't need to go much better than that to be going very close in this race. Needs to hold error in the early stages, which will be a key part of the race, I think. But I'm confident that it can, and if it does, it'll be really hard to beat in that Lightning Lap, I think. The next race I was moving on to was race 6. In race 6, I thought this looked a really suitable race for Highview Heidi, who looks to get a really good run in this race. I thought Ronald Scott would work over, and Highview Heidi would be able to grab that 1-1 run with at the pointy end out in front. And if Ronald Scott just applies enough pressure there, I think he can probably beat off at the pointy end, and Highview Heidi can just get the shot at them over the top out of the 1-1. And I think it's a horse that's improving Highview Heidi and is good enough to win from that run, and is probably a pretty nice price, I think, as well. Third favourite at the moment. So I'm pretty happy to play it that way. And the last one I was happy to be with was Kivnet Hill in race 8, the trotter.
Yep.
Has plenty of gate speed and I think can zip over in the early stages, can lead, and given its form in Victoria, racing some of the better 3-year-olds, I certainly think it'll be very hard to catch off that run.
All right, so that is Caldwell Arms, Highview Heidi and Cavinted Hill there in the lucky last for Ollie. So that is a look at Pinjarra today. We turn our attention to Gloucester Park tomorrow. 7 events to look forward to here. Ollie, keep rolling. You go to the middle part of the program.
Yeah, kicking things off in race 4. I thought Ultra Freeway had the draw advantage over some of his key rivals in this race, and the last win was good enough, worked hard in the early stages, was able to hold the lead and held them all off there. And this race, it looks like the main danger is going to be Better Arcade. And if Ultra Freeway can stay underneath that horse and lead, I certainly think he can prove really hard to beat on the front end. And there might be some horses looking to fly over the top late, but if he can get a cheap quarter in there, I think he can keep kicking and should be hard to beat on the front end. And then I'm going to the race straight after that one. I thought Synchronizer might lead up this race. It was pretty unlucky last start with a flat tyre, and I think that'll give a really good run to Dr. Steve, who's third up from a spell in this race. And I think off that leader's back run, that's the sort of run he really needs in his races to be thereabouts, and I think he'll just get that perfect trip and looks a really, really good 1x3 type bet there, Dr. Steve.
All right, Dr. Steve on the 1x3 basis in the 5th. Matt, you're bookending the program.
Yeah, I am. Race 1, I like the way that Akoya Pearl trialled the other day for Nathan Turvey. I think there's a few decent chances in the race, so I'm hoping for a half decent each way price about this horse. So Akoya Pearl, I thought, could run a better race. I think has shown enough ability in the past to suggest we could see a strong performance on return from Akoya Pearl. So race 1, number 5 on an each way basis. In race 7, number 1, She's Supercharged. I was pretty keen that She's Supercharged could be able to lead and win this. Trialled up at Pinjarra and went well. She was leading that race at Pinjarra where Shugach won and did things wrong with about 600 metres to go. So I think looking at the way she was travelling, she was going to run a really mighty race, and she gets the good draw here over the mile, small field. I thought she could be able to turn the tables on the favourite, likely favourite in the race, and She's Supercharged straight out in the last. So race 1, number 5 each way, Akoya Pearl, and race 7, number 1, She's Supercharged.
Beautifully done. All right, Ollie, we'll let you get to that flight. We know you've got a busy couple of moments coming up. Safe travels back here to the west, and we look forward to catching up with you next week.
Looking forward to it. Thanks, guys.
And Matt, we'll catch up with you tomorrow morning on the Sports Daily here on Tab Radio. In the meantime, we'll be watching the Racing WA Harness X page today. Is Amelia on today?
Yes, she is. I'm calling Mandra Dogs. So
right. Good calling.
Yeah.
Good calling. But we'll stay tuned to the Racing WA Harness page in between watching your calls from Mandra a little later on this tonight.
Yeah, absolutely right. Cheers, Jim.
There is Matt Young with his look at the meeting today and also tomorrow, and Ollie County as well on his way back to the west. Quick break. Tom Nally's going to join us on the other side.
On Tab Radio, Racing and Sport, this is Often Pacing.
It is great to have your company wherever you're listening in this morning. We've got a busy couple of days on the way here in the west. Of course, Pinjarra today and then Gloucester Park tomorrow night. And one man who's got a significant role to play in it all is Tom Nally, who is with us on the program. Tom, a very good morning to you.
Good morning to you guys as well.
Great to have you on the program. Obviously, a name that's relatively fresh here to the WA driving ranks. You made your way over here over the past couple of months. How are you enjoying your time in the West?
It's been pretty good so far. It's treated me well, and everyone told me it was going to be really hot, but it wasn't too bad. So
you're surviving so far, surviving the warmer weather so far, and I suppose the milder conditions of the last couple of weeks would probably be a welcome change.
Yeah, no, it's been good the last couple of weeks, yeah. And really good weather. So
tell us why you made the decision to come across here to the West.
I just felt like my driving and like my horse career wasn't going anywhere down south in New Zealand, and to learn new things from different trainers is probably the top one as well. Just that sort of stuff, just a different experience, and yeah.
Was it getting a little bit perhaps frustrating over there in New Zealand?
No, it wasn't frustrating in a way. It was, I'd sort of just had enough of where I was.
Yep. And so...
And then I've always wanted, my partner's always wanted to come to Perth, so I think that was the deal breaker there. We just packed our bags and moved over.
Absolutely, and it was going to be to Gary Hall Senior first and foremost, but that changed at the last minute, and the opportunity came up at Greg and Skies.
Yeah, so I was originally going to seniors, but then that changed, and then Greg and Sky offered me a job, and I jumped to that straight away, basically.
What's it like down there, and how have you enjoyed the few months there so far?
It's been great, yeah. Greg and Sky are great bosses. They've been really nice to me, and it's a lovely setup here. Nice horses and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, it's been really good.
We know how popular harness racing is in New Zealand, but with some of the setups you've worked over there and coming across to Greg and Sky, seeing what they've got to work with, how good is it working there?
This would be the best place I've ever been to. I've been to a few around New Zealand, some of the top ones, just, looking around, and, this was something different here.
And the level of horseflesh that you get to work with as well, I'm sure, is another perk of the job?
Yeah, I've never worked with horses of this quality before. It's pretty cool when you think about it, really.
You talked about your driving over there in New Zealand and then coming across here. You've got a couple of winners under the belt and getting a few opportunities. Do you feel like it's starting to get rolling?
Yeah, I was just thinking, I was talking to my partner last week, I think I'm just about to start getting rolling. I'm getting used to all the racing over here and the different ways that they do it. And, I think over the next couple of months, I'll really knuckle down and try and get a few more winners on the board. Yeah,
for sure. And your first drive over here, it was probably one that, you mentioned in an article that was up on the Racing WA website that it wasn't one of your best drives. Would that be fair to say?
No, it wasn't. It was just one of those races where everything was happening, and it was sort of mind-opening for me, that drive, as to how things are done over here.
Yep. What were you thinking coming away from it, going, this isn't what I got myself in for?
No, I was thinking, this is interesting. I'm going to have to really knuckle down and do some work on my drive, change my driving tactics, and do more form on basically drivers.
Yep.
So I do a lot of form on drivers now, because in New Zealand, it's completely different again. So, and you don't really need to do form on drivers, because drivers are pretty genuine drivers. So, but over here you get different drivers, and so.
And do you feel like that's been a change that you've had to make for the better as well?
Yes, it's definitely helped me become a better driver. It probably hasn't shown in my stats or yet, but I think over the next couple of months it'll really come out of me that it has made me a better driver. So
fantastic. And I suppose the short term, the next 2 to 3 months, what are you hoping to get out of your driving personally? Where would you like to be in that time? Have you got a number of winners or number of drives that you want to get in that time? What's the thoughts?
Not really. I just want to keep on improving every time I get onto the track. Improvement's the key for me, and keep on going up.
Fantastic. Well, let's have a look at some of your drives over the next few days, because you've got a couple of wonderful opportunities, and the claim certainly plays a big part in that. First and foremost, Captains Have Time gets an opportunity today from barrier number 1. She's clearly a very talented filly, placed in a golden slipper, so she's right up there as one of the better fillies in the state from a 3-year-old point of view. Are you expecting her to look after matters today?
Should do. She's drawn perfectly, and it's just the right sort of race for her to get back underway. After the last 2 starts, she's run 4th and 2nd. So I think we can knock that win off the table today.
All right. Hopefully that's the case in race number 4, and you can take that momentum along to race number 6 as well, because again, barrier number 1 at the pointy end, last start winner at Narrogin. That was at the start of the month. So can she continue her winning ways today? I
think I've been really impressed with her last 3 races. she's got the gate speed, and she can tough it out if she really has to. So, yeah, I think she's definitely a good chance in that field.
Do you think with that gate speed you'll be able to lead today?
That'd be the plan,
Yep.
but if that changes, then I'll have to think of something else, won't I?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, let's turn our attention to tomorrow night because, again, you've got some key drives here as well. And, again, barrier number 1 to start your night, Swifty. Can tomorrow be the day for Swifty?
I'm confident with her because, like, her last run, that was in a high grade, and she's back into the maiden as drawn 1, and she'll be fitter for that run from last week. So, yeah, I'm pretty confident. She's definitely a top 2 player in that field.
All right. By Jingo's got barrier 2 in race number 2. It's an even race on paper. Did you feel it was the right race for by Jingo?
It's a tricky one because they're all sort of horses that are around the same sort of mark, and he's drawn 2. He'll definitely improve off last start. He's been working pretty good at home, so I'd say he'd be a top 3 contender in that field if he can get the right sort of run.
All right, and you get the chance to team up with Crunchy in the 3rd from barrier number 1. Do you envisage that Crunchy will be able to make the most of the opportunity tomorrow night?
I think she will. She's been racing really well last month, and she just needed a good draw, and she's got one for tomorrow night in an even sort of a lineup. She's got the gate speed, so we'll be hoping to get out and have a wee go with her.
Just spoke to Ollie in regards to some of his best bets for tomorrow night, Ollie County, and he's got Dr. Steve as a really nice place chance. Did you feel that was the case as well in race number 5?
Yeah, I think he's improved with his racing, and he's definitely getting fitter, and the only horse off the second line really helps him, so he should get a nice run through. I do think he has a place chance if everything falls into his lap, so yeah.
And what about at the end of the night, this 2-year-old who's 1 for 1 in Chugach? So what sort of a colt are we looking at here?
I quite like him. He's just a genuine racehorse. He does everything right. He's got the speed. He can tough it out. I think he should have that field covered with the scratching now, so he comes into 4. I don't think I'll try and push the button too hard early because, just a 2-year-old getting around Gosford Park for the first time, probably just look after him.
Is there a feeling that he can perhaps measure up in some better races later on in the 2-year-old season?
That's what we're hoping for. We'll just see how he progresses over his next couple of starts.
Okay. Now, on Friday night, obviously, you got the chance to team up with Galactic Star, so one of the free-for-allers. Obviously, he's coming towards the end of his career, but is there one or two that you really like that you've had the chance to sit behind down at the Bond stable so far?
Yeah, so my favourite horse to sit behind is actually Just Call Me Mickey. I drove him earlier on when he first came over.
Yeah.
And I really liked him. But I think ever since Denny's got on, she hasn't got off. So.
The expectation is that he's going to make himself right at home at that free-for-all level like we saw on Friday night, even though he did have the good fortune of barrier number 1.
Yeah, I think he's going places. I think the more racing he does, the better he's going to get.
Yeah. Well, he's going to be one that we look forward to watching going forward, and he's, of course, got the 4-year-old races to look forward to this year as well. Hey, Tom, great to get the chance to chat to you this morning. Good luck over the next few days. Hopefully a few winners, and hopefully they keep rolling as well over the next little while. All the very best here in the West, and look forward to catching up with you again very soon.
Thank you very much.
There is Tom Nally with us on the program, rounding out Often Pacing for today. So we'll be back again next week. Of course, next Monday we've got the running of the Mount Eden Sprint down there at Pinjarra and the return of Magnificent Storm. So it's going to be a big Monday, a very busy Monday next week. Hope you can join us then. Up next, we've got our East Coast previews. Of course, it's Adelaide Cup Day, so we'll have Warrnambool, we'll have Morphettville and Corowa previews to work through. And from there is, of course, Pinjarra today at 1:57 getting underway. And as Matt mentioned, he is on the Mandurah Greyhounds tonight. So make sure you stay tuned to Tab Radio right throughout the course of your Monday. We'll be back with more in just a moment.
Imagine what you could be buying instead.